Imagine the moment the music stops, and the silence is suddenly filled by a voice so deep, so rich, it doesn't just fill the room, it shakes the foundations of a generation. This is not the voice of a singer, it is the sound of absolute certainty, the unmistakable timbre of Barry White, the Maestro. He is the man who earned the title Godfather of Bedroom Soul not from marketing, but from sheer global acclaim, a man women adored to the point of throwing room keys, house keys, and even buying him a car on stage. When we discuss the pantheon of R&B legends, the Marvin Gayes, the Stevie Wonders, Barry White's name belongs among the giants, a titan whose impact on music and culture is truly immeasurable. He sold over 100 million records worldwide, collecting 20 gold singles and over 100 gold albums. But how did this man, born Barry Eugene Carter, a former gang member roaming the dangerous streets of Watts, Los Angeles, escape a life defined by juvenile haul and violence to become the undisputed maestro of sensuous soul? His journey began not on a stage bathed in light, but in the shadows of the Deep South, and with a voice that literally changed his life overnight. The story of Barry White begins far from the velvet curtains and the 50-piece orchestras. It starts in Galveston, Texas, in 1944, and quickly moves to the grinding poverty of South Central, Los Angeles, specifically the neighborhood of Watts. His mother, Sadie Marie Carter, an actress and a dedicated piano teacher, used every welfare check to afford a used upright piano for $50. She exposed Barry and his younger brother, Daryl, to the rich harmonies of classical music and taught them to sing, even though he never learned to read sheet music, insisting that music had to be felt. The first song he mastered was the Christmas classic, Silent Night, at the tender age of 4. By the time Barry was 10, the protective shield of his mother's apartment cracked under the pressure of Watts. With no father figure, Melvin White, his biological father, was already married with another family across town. Barry and Daryl found their guidance in the streets. He was fighting and defending himself against older kids. Barry joined the Roman 20s, and later, the more prominent businessmen gang, a group formed partly to fight the racist spook hunters. The gang life for Barry wasn't just about turf wars, it was about addiction to crime. He recalled seeing it all: murders, shootings, stabbings. His passion for stealing was strange. He would burglarize houses, not for money or jewelry, but to steal vinyl records, LPs, to build the heaviest record collection in the neighborhood. For almost a year, he felt compelled to steal a car every day, accumulating between 150 to 200 stolen cars. Barry, who stood 6 feet 3 inches by the age of 14, was a formidable force, and his younger brother Daryl was even more volatile, having been arrested since the age of 8, eventually facing 13 years for kidnapping and bank robbery. The single most defining moment of his teenage years, even more consequential than the gang life, happened at age 14. Barry described his voice before that as a regular, high school teen voice. But one morning, when he woke up to speak to his mother, his legendary deep bass voice emerged. His chest rattled with vibrations and his mother was just staring at him and he was staring at her. She started smiling and crying at the same time. She said, "My son's a man now." This sudden, almost miraculous transformation terrified him and his friends. He felt like a freak for 30 days. But the women, even at that young age, loved it. This powerful, unexpected gift foreshadowed his destiny as the maestro. The street life caught up with him at age 16 when he was caught stealing Cadillac car tires, landing him 4 months in juvenile hall. It was during this incarceration that he heard Elvis Presley's "It's Now or Never." The lyrics cut so deep that he decided, right then, that music was the only thing that would change his life. Free from juvie, Barry recorded "Little Girl" as the bass singer for a high school group called the Upfronts. By his 17th birthday, he quit school in the 12th grade, just 4 months shy of graduation, much to his mother's disappointment. With a burning determination to succeed, he walked 15 to 20 miles from South Central to Hollywood. Seeing the nice cars, the polite people, and the absence of violence in Hollywood blew his mind. The struggle, however, was immense. By age 21, he had married his childhood sweetheart, Betty Smith, and they had 4 children. He worked various jobs, including a toy store, to provide for them and his mother, often resorting to stealing cooked chicken from grocery store aisles just to eat after ensuring his children had eaten. His big break came as a road manager for his friend, Earl Nelson, Jackie Lee, who had a hit with "The Duck." Taking the job was also a calculated move to escape Los Angeles after 2 traumatic incidents. First, being wrongly arrested for attempted murder after breaking up a gang fight where a friend was shot, and second, witnessing his friend, singer Charles Pfizer of the Olympics, being killed by police during the 1965 Watts race riot. While touring in the Deep South, he endured overt racism, being jailed in Mississippi and threatened in Alabama for speaking to a phone operator by calling her "baby." The pervasive racism and the violence he witnessed were too much. He booked his first flight and headed home to LA, convinced that the life of a traveling musician was too dangerous. Back in LA, Barry was hired as an A&R vice president for Bob King's new label, Mustang Bronco. Though he enjoyed writing and producing, the label soon folded. He turned down an offer from Motown, choosing instead to partner with music publisher Aaron Schroeder, who wrote Elvis's "It's Now or Never." In the studio, he met 3 women singing background, sisters Linda and Glodian James, and their cousin, Dee Dee Parsons. They wanted to be like the Supremes, and Barry wrote and produced for them, renaming them Love Unlimited. His marriage to Betty ended, and he began dating Glodian. In 1972, he got them a deal with Uni/MCA Records. Their debut album, From a Girl's Point of View We Give to You, featuring the platinum single, Walking in the Rain with the One I Love, finally put Barry White on the map as an R&B legend producer. Barry White, the R&B legend, had finally found success behind the scenes with Love Unlimited, but his destiny was calling him to the microphone. He initially scoffed at the idea of becoming a solo artist, telling friends he hated the preparation involved in performing, preferring the quiet creativity of the studio. Yet, as he searched for a male singer to record the songs he had just written, he realized an indisputable truth: only he possessed the unique deep bass voice required to convey the intended passion. It was his close friend and business partner, Larry Nunez, who saved his life, Barry said, by putting up the money and constantly pushing him to step into the spotlight. Barry finally agreed to record an album. He and Nunez shopped the demo to various labels, only to be turned down repeatedly because of the elaborate orchestra arrangements. Russ Reagan at 20th Century Records, who had signed Love Unlimited, dismissed Barry's demo as terrible. But when music mogul Clive Davis and even Elton John showed immense interest, Reagan quickly reversed course, desperate to sign the very talent he had just rejected. On March 27, 1973, Barry White released his debut solo album, I've got so much to give. The single, I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More Baby, instantly hit #1 on the R&B charts and was certified gold. The comparisons to Isaac Hayes were immediate, but Barry did not mind, as they later became close friends. The summer of 1973 saw the release of Love Unlimited's second album, followed quickly by Barry's second solo album, Stone Gone. This album gifted the world one of his most powerful anthems, Never, Never Gonna Give You Up. In January 1974, Barry orchestrated a masterstroke that would redefine the sound of the 70s. He assembled the 40-piece Latin string orchestra and called them the Love Unlimited Orchestra. He released an instrumental album, Rhapsody in White. The lead single, Love's Theme, was instrumental, a daring move that music executives told him would never work. They were wrong. Love's Theme hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming a global phenomenon and establishing Barry White as a definitive disco inventor. The fact that an instrumental could reach the top of the pop charts was unprecedented. This same year, 1974, became the peak of his commercial output. Barry White released 4 monumental albums, 2 solo albums, 1 Love Unlimited album, and 1 Love Unlimited Orchestra album. His third solo album, Can't Get Enough, launched the iconic singles, Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Baby, and the quintessential classic, You're the First, the Last, My Everything. The album hit #1 on the R&B and Billboard 200 charts. In the year of his conquest, Barry married Glodian James of Love Unlimited. He was not just a singer, he was now the maestro, the ultimate symbol of sensuality. Women threw him room keys, house keys, and even bought him a car on stage. He had over 100 nicknames, including the Walrus of Love and Godfather of Bedroom Soul. Though he stood 6 feet 3 inches and weighed over 300 pounds, Barry insisted he never saw himself as a sex symbol due to his size. Beyond the romance, his music was literally responsible for life. People frequently approached Barry, telling him their children were conceived to a specific one of his songs. Even more bizarrely, years later, an aquarium in London found that his music encouraged their sharks to mate and reproduce. Barry's success brought him into contact with other legends. He met his childhood idol Muhammad Ali, and they became fast friends. Most notably, he met Michael Jackson and became a mentor and godfather figure, sharing the blueprint of the music business with him. Barry White was more than an artist, he had become a cultural force, selling over 100 million records and collecting 10 platinum singles and 41 platinum albums during this unparalleled golden age. He stood as a true R&B legend. As the 1970s closed, the unstoppable momentum of the Maestro began to slow. The vibrant, orchestral sound of disco, which Barry White had helped invent, gave way to a new wave of R&B and pop artists, including Michael Jackson and Luther Vandross. Barry's sales began to decline in the 1980s, and his label, 20th Century Records, became unsupportive, leading him to leave and start his own venture, Unlimited Gold Records. This professional dip coincided with an irreversible personal tragedy that scarred him deeply. In 1982, Barry's younger brother, Darryl White, was murdered. Darryl, who had recently been released from serving 13 years for kidnapping and bank robbery, had returned to the volatile street life despite Barry's financial help. The cause of death was brutally senseless. Darryl got into a dispute with a neighbor, Ernest Little, over $20 in change from a liquor store run. The argument escalated, and the neighbor shot Darryl straight in the heart. Darryl was only 37 years old. Barry was devastated. Darryl was his only brother and his best friend. To make matters worse, initial media reports incorrectly stated that Barry White himself had been murdered. The loss of his brother, a painful reminder of the Watt Street life he had escaped, was immense, coming the same year their father also passed away. In 1988, after 15 years of marriage, Barry and Glodian separated, although they never officially filed for divorce. Through the 1980s, Barry endured financial hard times as his records were no longer selling like they had been. He left his partnership with CBS and relied on the kindness of good friends who loaned him money to stay afloat. He also faced the pain of near misses with other R&B legends and friends. In 1984, Barry's good friend, Marvin Gaye, told Billboard he wanted Barry to produce his next album. They had agreed to start working together that Monday. But that Sunday, on April Fool's Day, Marvin Gaye was tragically killed by his father. The resurgence began in 1990 when Barry White was featured on Quincy Jones's Grammy-winning ensemble track, The Secret Garden. The song became a #1 R&B hit and reintroduced his distinctive deep bass voice to a new generation of listeners, giving him a massive career boost. This momentum culminated in his 1994 album, The Icon Is Love. Many at his label, A&M Records, didn't believe in the project. Yet, the album became a double platinum sensation, landing a Grammy nomination for Best R&B Album. The lead single, Practice What You Preach, written by Gerald Levert, gave Barry White his first #1 R&B single in almost 20 years. This comeback proved that the Maestro could adapt and dominate across decades, cementing his place as an enduring R&B legend. The triumphant comeback of Barry White with The Icon Is Love album did more than restore his commercial standing as an R&B legend. It confirmed his immutable status in global culture. His music was immediately embraced and reinterpreted by the hip-hop generation, sampled by artists like Jay-Z, Mary J. Blige, and 50 Cent. His iconic voice even found a niche in popular media, famously appearing on The Simpsons for the Whacking Day episode. Yet, the success came at a steep personal cost. Behind the velvet exterior of the Maestro lay a man who struggled intensely with his health and lifestyle choices. Barry White was a big man, standing 6 feet 4 inches, and weighing close to 400 pounds. He openly admitted to a lifestyle of excess that began when he escaped the poverty of Watts. He would order so much food in 5-star hotels that his dinner bill could run up to $2,000 a night. Compounding his struggles was his heavy smoking habit. Some reports claimed he smoked up to 150 cigarettes a day, 7 to 8 packs. He suffered from hypertension and high blood pressure, but, like many of the older generation, he hated going to the doctor and never consistently took his prescribed medication. The consequences became tragically visible in the final years of the 1990s. In 2000, while on tour in Sydney, Australia, Barry White was forced to perform the entire show sitting down due to severe edema, swelling caused by trapped fluid in his legs and ankles. The audience, unaware of his pain and illness, booed him, and half walked out, leading to ticket refunds. It was a heartbreaking moment for an R&B legend whose entire career was built on passion and power. Despite the failing health, his final album, Staying Power, 1999, brought him the accolades that had eluded him during his 1970s peak. After millions of records sold and decades of influence, Barry White finally won his first 2 Grammy Awards for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance and Best Traditional R&B Vocal Performance. He may have been the godfather of bedroom soul to his fans, but he was now a man confronting the price of his fame and his former life. And in one final, bizarre testament to his global power, years after his passing, a London aquarium discovered they used his music to encourage their sharks to mate, proving that the rhythm of Love Unlimited truly influenced all species. The final chapter of Barry White's life was marked by the peaceful stillness that followed the wildest storm. After suffering a severe stroke in May 2003, which impaired his speech and the right side of his body, the Maestro retired from the public eye. His health had rapidly deteriorated due to high blood pressure and kidney failure, conditions aggravated by years of excessive habits. He passed away on July 4, 2003, at the age of 58, in a hospital bed, awaiting a kidney transplant that his weakened body could not endure. The former gang member from Watts, the voice that launched 1,000 ships of love, died quietly. The legacy of Barry White is not just measured in his impressive statistics: 20 gold singles, 106 gold albums, 10 platinum singles, and over 100 million records sold. His true contribution lies in his transformative power. He was proof that the ghetto soul could not only survive but could thrive, turning the violence of the streets into the passion of the sublime. His life served as a profound testament to the power of self-change, ignited by a simple Elvis Presley song in a juvenile hall. He gave the world the soundtrack to romance, a musical language of intimacy known globally as the Godfather of Bedroom Soul. That iconic deep bass voice was his gift, the instrument that gave birth to the Love Unlimited Orchestra and solidified his place as a definitive R&B legend and, yes, a disco inventor. Some stories end without full closure. Even after his death, his estate was tied up in disputes and paternity claims, a painful echo of the chaos he had spent a lifetime trying to outrun. But the dignity of the Maestro doesn't need applause. It lives on in every sample, every quiet moment, and every couple whose love story began with his music. His music still vibrates with the power of life itself, literally, as the London Aquarium proved. To anyone who has ever stood alone, listening to the world tell you who you are supposed to be, Barry White saw you. He changed his narrative, and so can you. What is the biggest lesson you take from the life of the legendary Barry White? And who do you think has the presence and soul to play the Maestro in a major movie biopic? Share your thoughts and stories below. We read every comment.